Okay, I'm late to the party, but I think you can say that I forgot to get a Spirit of the Wolf, a sow. Did anyone else think it was Spirit of the Wolf, not Spirit of Wolf? Is it just me? Anyway, I'm late. I'm late with this update. There's a lot of stuff that's been happening in Everquest, and I want to talk about it. We have a producer's letter, we have new progression server news for both Everquest and a new TLE for Everquest II. And really, it's just an exciting time to be a fan of the game and the genre in general. We'll start with the Everquest II news so you can stick around and help my metrics a little bit. I mean, what I meant to say is we'll start with the Everquest II news because it's interesting and exciting. Speaking of metrics though, if you want to just, like the video on the hopes that it'll be good, that'd be cool. That'd really help out the channel a lot. I haven't talked much about Everquest II on this channel. It's a bit of a bittersweet game for me in a lot of ways because I jumped ship from Everquest to the sequel when it launched, and the game that is there now is hard for me to recognize. It was the first game I ever beta tested even. I hung out in the future world of Norrath for several years before eventually switching over to World of Warcraft when the skill bloat and the number bloat just got too much for me, and it's only gotten worse from there. That said, it's still a good game. It's beloved by many, perhaps less than Everquest. We have numbers to prove that, but it's at least somewhat healthy, and it looks like they're not giving up on Everquest II yet, which is a good sign for everyone who loves that game. And some of the news in the producer's letter for Everquest II and the roadmap have me looking back at this old gem with some interest. First, there's the Kael Drakel lore and legend server. Have y'all ever realized like how difficult some of the names are to pronounce in Everquest because you just read them in your head for years, and then now you're trying to say them on a platform where everyone will tell you how you mispronounced it? Okay. The Kael
Drakel
Giants lore and legend server launched on February 22nd of 2022, which had a novel concept. Everyone starts at level 90 and you can do content up to Destiny of Velius. But that's not all. As you move from zone to zone, you automatically mentor to a level appropriate for that zone, essentially making the server level agnostic. It's an interesting approach that makes me think of a game like Elder Scrolls Online, which level syncs. You gain gear and AAs as your means of advancement. If nothing else, I like to see them trying something new, and perhaps not entirely surprising seeing as Everquest has recently moved to a 64-bit client. Everquest II will also be moving to a 64-bit client and is currently in beta testing as of March 29th. I've included links below for the upgrade information and what minimum specifications the game will need, so you can be certain that you are prepared when the game eventually moves over to the 64-bit client. Here's hoping that it's as smooth as Everquest 1 was. April will see the first content update for the game out of the year, probably out by the time this video goes live, Coffers and Coffins, which will include Season 4 of the Overseer, changes to the Overseer minigame, new heroic dungeons, collections, raids, and trade skill content. Of particular interest to me though, and perhaps others who might not be fully invested in the live game, we have a new TLE server. Time-locked expansion server. Don't ask me why they didn't just say progression server. It's the same thing. They could have just called it a progression server for Everquest II, and I think that most people would understand what we're talking about. That's beside the point though. That's coming on May the 24th. We'll get a free trade rule set time-locked expansion server, Varsoon. I'm giving strong consideration to jumping into this server perhaps after a few expansions. I think Everquest II really hit its stride with Echoes of Fadeware, the third expansion, and then the expansion right after that, Rise of Canark, is just fantastic. So going from TLE to progression, let's talk about Everquest. Let's talk about the reason why most of you are still here. There's always a little fervor, good and bad, when a progression server is announced, ever since the first ones back in 2006. I played on as an adult. I'm old, or at least I'm getting there. Things are crackling when I move, and I'm looking at what's in my food that I eat. At least AARP hasn't called me yet. Now, one of these two servers which will be launching is very interesting and very new. It's going to need its own video to fully explain, so expect that coming soon. The server names will be Vaniki and Jelinek. The latter, Jelinek, will be a traditional progression server like Mangler, while Vaniki will be a level-locked progression server. To this point, we've had expansion-locked servers, but never level-locked. This server is going to start with a level cap of 40 in Gates of Discord, meaning you can roll a freaking Zerker and level up with your friends from level 1. Or a Beast Lord, I guess, if that's your thing. But a Zerker, a Berserker, come on. The exciting part of this for me is the new experience, similar to random loot with Mischief and Thornblade. It gives you a different way to experience leveling in EverQuest. Consider having that many zones to pick from when you start out on a progression server, which always has a robust population at the beginning. You'll be spoilt for choice. No more rushing to Guck, no more dealing with the damn goblins in Oceans of Tears. Man, level 45 to 50 in Classic was not fun. If you said it was fun, more power to you. I was gonna say something mean, but that's not my vibe. For years, I've wanted Jagged Pine to be open at launch like it was on Sleeper and Combine. Now I get Jagged Pine and so much more, plus Berserkers. Did I mention that you will be able to play a Berserker from level 1 on this new server? An interesting wrinkle, besides the multiple expansion unlocks at certain levels, is challenge achievements and this corresponding line. Challenge achievements will also be available. If you participate in a chosen event and defeat it when you are at certain level, you'll gain a reward that you can use on any character on the same account. For example, defeat Kazakh Thule at level 40, Meldrath at level 70, or Grillcore at level 105. To make these goals more attainable, many level restrictions will be relaxed on this server, allowing players to use items they normally could not and land spells on NPCs far above your level. Zone level restrictions will also be relaxed, but not removed. Let's end with the producer's letter for EverQuest. The meat of the producer's letter is basically covering the roadmap released earlier this year and what they've accomplished so far, notably the 64-bit client in February. Now, of course, the progression servers will be the most exciting takeaway, but for anyone unaware, the 23rd anniversary is currently ongoing and part 2 of the anniversary begins this month, so if there are specific quests you want to accomplish, keep an eye on those dates. I've linked FANRA below because I really like how they organize all the anniversary quest information, and I think you'll find it helpful to see what kind of things you want to plan out. We're just under 4 months into the year and into the roadmap, but it's nice to see EverQuest hitting their milestones. The launch of the 64-bit client on EverQuest went fairly well, and they've come up with some new innovations on the progression server formula for both games while providing more traditional options at the same time. What do you think? Are you excited about the Everquest II TLE? Are you excited about the Lore and Legend server on Everquest 2? Would you go back to the game for either of those? Are you looking at the progression servers coming out on Everquest with excitement, or are you upset? Let us know down in the comments. Will you be playing these games? My name is Redbeard Flynn. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again next week.